Hello my strange and charmed ones, and welcome back to my channel for another video. Today I want to tell you guys a story, and really this is a story that I've started to tell you guys before in the past. In fact, about a year ago I shared this story with you all publicly for the first time, and that was the story of how I started my business and really how I got started doing what it is that I do today online full-time for you guys and for this greater community of productivity and planning and business that we all know and love. But since that video last year, it's been a whole year. So obviously a lot more has happened in my overall story of entrepreneurship, and I've learned a lot more lessons about my business, about how it came together. And these are sorts of lessons that I really think that many of you in my community are really ready to hear and really eager to hear from me, because I think that you can get a lot of insight from listening to my story, understanding what I did and what I think went right in my example of starting a business. Because starting a business online is hard. It's by no means an easy task that you can just pick up. A lot of effort and work goes into it. So I think that by sharing my story a little bit more with you, giving you guys a little bit more depth on my story, I guess, I'm hoping that many of you will be inspired and motivated and really get clear on what it is that you want to achieve in your own life, with your own business, and perhaps becoming an entrepreneur for yourself. So today I'm going to tell you guys the story of how I left my job, built my online business, and replaced my income in 6 months. Because that is the essential story of what happened to me when I went out on my own and became an entrepreneur. And I think that it is a story that has a lot of important facts that you guys need to kind of understand. And this story, as I tell it, I am punctuating it with different kind of frequently asked questions, as well as different lessons that I really want to make sure each and every one of you understand as takeaways from how you can apply my story to your own situation. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing that I want to talk about is a question I get a lot: how did I start my business? So the question of how I started my business, we really need, in order to answer that, to go all the way back to 2008. Okay, so 2008, it was about the spring of 2008 going into the summer. And I had graduated from college in December of 2007, and I was unemployed, okay? So I was a recent graduate, completely unemployed, was not going to be going to graduate school. And I determined for myself that what I wanted for my career was to work at a magazine. I wanted to work at a magazine because my dreams of going to graduate school had kind of been crushed. And you guys can kind of hear about that a little bit in the earlier story from last year that I will link below in case you guys want to hear more about that. But wasn't going to graduate school, so I decided that my next best option was to work for a magazine, okay, as a writer. That's what I wanted to do. So I decided that the best way to kind of hone my skill and make myself seem more desirable to any employer would be to start my own blog, because, magazines and blogs, they're similar, right? Blogs were like online magazines, kinda, sorta. You guys know what I mean. And this is 2008, mind you, okay? So I start my blog in 2008, and I'm pretty much just dabbling with it at that point. Blogging was completely different in 2008, but it was something that I enjoyed, and it was something I liked playing around with. Now, fast forward a little bit to 2009. 2009 was kind of a big year for me, I guess, in my business and in my story, because two really key things happened. Number one, I started YouTube, okay, which obviously that's going well for me, 50,000 subscribers more or less later. So in the beginning of 2009, I started YouTube because it was kind of like the hot new platform, it had only been out since like 2005, and I really think it started getting real traction in 2007. So by 2009, I was like, what is this hot new platform? So I wanted to get involved with YouTube. I thought it was something that I would be good at. I kind of felt comfortable in front of a camera, so it felt like the right move for me. At the same time, nearly at the identical time, I got a job at a Fortune 50 company, and that that was the first time I had had significant full-time employment, and I ended up working at that Fortune 50 company, working my way up the ladder until I ended up leaving my job so I could start my own business. So the lesson that I really kind of want to impart to you guys from this portion of the story and how I kind of got started with my business is that I've been doing this since 2008 and I've been on YouTube since 2009. So I've been doing this for quite some time. I'm by no means an overnight success, and I really firmly believe that there's no such thing as an overnight success. I think anyone that we see out there that looks like they kind of came out of left field and it's like they were a success overnight, it's just an illusion. A lot of effort goes into creating the illusion of an overnight success. And just because perhaps you became aware of me very quickly doesn't mean that I didn't exist out here and I wasn't creating consistent content and working on my business for years and years and years. So that's the first takeaway, that first lesson I want you guys to understand. I'm not an overnight success. No one can be an overnight success. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication to get yourself to the position of running a business full-time successfully. Okay, so the next topic and next question I frequently get asked is how I actually launched my business. Okay, so I've been working for that Fortune 50 company. It's now 2014, and I've been working my way up through the ladder of that company for a number of years. So I started in 2009. I worked there for about 5.5 years, and I think I had 5 jobs. So 5.5 years I worked there, and I had 5 different positions in that company. So I was really working my way up pretty consistently. And for a majority of the time that I did work at that company, I was also pretty seriously side hustling with my blog and YouTube. You know, in the early few years of my blog and YouTube, I definitely didn't really know where things were going with it. It was more of sort of a creative outlet for me, but it was still something that I treated like a part-time job. I treated it like it was important and it was something that had to get done. And there were definitely periods of time where I did drop the ball on my blog or on YouTube, but I always ended up picking it back up. And every time I picked it back up, I learned more, I was more organized, and I was more focused. So I'm working at the Fortune 50 company and I'm side hustling with my blog and my YouTube. And something interesting starts to happen in 2014. So in the beginning of 2014, I had 2 big things that happened in that year for me that were very impactful for me launching my business. Number 1 is I discovered the planner community online. I made a YouTube video about a Kiki K planner and things started to explode for me on YouTube. It had taken me probably from 2009 to 2014 to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, but then suddenly in 2014, I got onto the scene. I was someone who was making these planner videos, and I had all these new viewers and new audience members who really understood me and my message and really got me as a planner person, and I understood and got them. And so my channel ended up growing very quickly starting from that point. So that's the first thing that kind of happened in 2014. And the second thing that happened in 2014 that was very impactful for my decision to launch was things at my job at the Fortune 50 company were just not going the way that I had planned. So, for years I had been working at this company that really had nothing to do with any of my passions. Like I was doing things like analytics, I was doing marketing and sales, and although it was always interesting enough work for me and I was having a good enough time, and I had friends at my company and I pretty much enjoyed my work. I didn't have any problems with it. I was good at it. In 2014, I really started having issues with my job. I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. I had no clue where my career was going to go. And I really wasn't feeling like that company was the place for me anymore. So essentially, the situation I found myself in was that number 1, my 9-to-5 job was just not cutting it for me anymore. I just wasn't feeling it, didn't like it, wasn't happy. I was like borderline actually getting miserable about it. And then on the other hand, I kind of you really up-leveled my presence on my blog and YouTube because I had found this great community of planner people who I was able to create content for, and they really engaged and enjoyed it. So for the whole beginning of, the spring of 2014, my revenue from my side hustle was actually increasing and increasing. And I was really seeing that there was a distinct opportunity here that I could turn these passions into a full-time job if I wanted to. So I did decide in May of 2014 to just take the leap and go full-time for myself, doing my blog and YouTube and serving this planner community. So the lesson that I want you guys to kind of get from this section of how I launched my business, like how I finally kind of came to the conclusion and just did it. I really want you guys to understand that I feel like in life, sometimes life can send you a perfect storm where really preparation meets opportunity. And there's this really great quote that I absolutely love that says, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, because that's exactly what seemed to be happening with me. I was really feeling very lucky that the stars were aligning in such a way that I felt like I was getting a clear sign from the universe that it was time for me to leave my job and go out on my own and just start my own business and do my own thing. So that's exactly what happened. So that's the second lesson, or the second takeaway I want you guys to remember, is that sometimes I think that we can be working for years and years and years and not much is going on. Maybe it feels like you're not making enough traction, but all of a sudden, once the stars are aligned and the opportunity comes, you have been working diligently and you are fully prepared to take advantage of an opportunity that's in front of you. And I think this is something that a lot of people forget about and really don't take seriously, is that I do think opportunity is all around us. And I think the only way that we get lucky and we kind of make big things happen for ourselves is when we are prepared, because we've been working diligently to make sure things are happening for us and make sure we're prepared to take advantage of any opportunities that are around us. So that's the next lesson I want you guys to understand in this whole story of how I built my business and left my job and replaced my income. Okay, so the next part of this story is all about how I kind of got myself immediately ready to make sure that it was safe for me to go out on my own. I'm often asked, as someone who made that leap from, a side hustle to a full-time job with their business, what are other things that people out there, other entrepreneurs out there who are perhaps in that side hustle stage right now, what are some tips that I can give to others to get them prepared? So for me, in those few months before I officially left my job in May of 2014, a few things we already talked about happened, which were I found my community, my income started increasing. And so essentially what I found was that I had income proof. I had proof that my business concept was going to yield me some sort of results. So the way that I looked at it was, while I was working on my business as a side hustle, while it was only something I did part-time, I was getting a certain amount of money. Now, I felt very confident. I reached a point where I felt very confident that I would be able to make even more money if I was to leave my job and focus my efforts full-time on that business. So that's something that's very important for people to understand, is that you really should have proof of concept and proof of income before you go full-time. You want to make sure that your business is making money, and I think it's best to get yourself to a position where you know that if you went full-time, your income would only expand. It would only get bigger. You want to make sure that you're really confident that your business idea is actually going to work. And of course, there's no guarantees, but income is a really great way to determine whether or not your business is going to fly, right? If it's already making money, chances are if you can increase your business activities by working full-time on the business, you're probably going to end up making more money, okay? So the second part of my preparation for leaving my job and going full-time is that I had a very good backup for my income, okay? So when I left my job, I was married and my husband did have a nice full-time job himself. So number one, if I left my job and things did not pan out, we would be okay as long as my husband had his job. He would be able to pay all the bills and we would get by day to day. So it wasn't a huge deal if I could not make the business happen. Obviously, it would be a huge deal to me, but it wouldn't mean that I was going to be like homeless out on the street, okay? So that's the first thing to remember. Number two, my husband and I had a really good savings cushion. We've always been good savers, and I think that it's a really great practice to get into, whether or not you are a business owner or an aspiring business owner, to really make sure you've got a buffer of, you know, a few months' salary in the bank in case something were to happen. So my husband and I always operated under the assumption that one day it might be possible that he and I would both have no job because the economy is a little bit crazy. You never really know. So we wanted to be prepared to be able to live, have enough money in our savings account so that we could live for about 6 months to a year if we absolutely had to, living off our savings alone. So that was the second part of my income situation, so that I kind of felt very prepared and I felt like it was okay if I took the risk leaving my full-time job and turning my side hustle into my 9-to-5. So the lesson I want you guys to learn from this portion of the story is really that, you know, although you need to prepare your business, you kind of also need to prepare your finances. Whenever you're thinking about leaving a job for even another job opportunity or going full-time for your own business, you really need to understand that there's risk associated with that. And it's a really good practice to have money in the bank and kind of have a plan worked out. I think that this is definitely one of those situations that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So absolutely, if you're someone who's in a similar situation, I would highly suggest banking as much money as you can so that if things get tough or the business doesn't pan out, you have enough money to survive for 6 months at least. I think that's really critical because that gives you enough time to go ahead and look for another job and hopefully replace the income that was lost. Okay, so now we've come to the part of the story that's probably the most interesting to a lot of people, which is the whole how I replaced my income in 6 months. Okay, so how did I get to this point? How did I go from having that income proof that was something of, you know, it was really more of a part-time income to having a full-time income from my efforts in 6 months? Okay, so basically what happened was when I did finally leave my job in May of 2014, I was working as a blogger and a YouTuber. That's what I was doing. I was a content creator for my blog, strangecharm.com, and for this YouTube channel. Now, from those, I was able to earn income through sponsored posts and through YouTube's advertising and things like that, through AdSense, Google's AdSense. But it wasn't really taking me where I wanted to go. So what ended up happening for me was I was putting a lot of energy into my blogging and into my YouTube, and I was getting really involved with the planner community. I was really starting to get to know people. I was listening to people's questions and answering them, and I was trying to give advice as much as I could to people on how to set up their planners and be organized and things like that. And I just kept finding that the blogging and the YouTube, I had actually gotten it to a point and it was doing fine, but I knew I needed to add a new stream of revenue. I knew that it was important for me to add a new stream of revenue because I felt like I had, not that I had tapped out my blog and YouTube, but that I just wasn't feeling like the extra effort was really getting me extra money anymore. So once I kind of reached that place in the summer, I started dabbling and started thinking about different things that I could do to earn money. And, you know, I started actually doing these one-on-one calls with people. I did these, it was called Google Helpouts, I believe was the name of the platform. That does not exist anymore. But basically I gave people, you know, free calls with me where I would review their blogs and I would kind of give them strategy for making their blogs bigger and better, because that was something that I had a really good experience with. I had built up a good blog and I was getting paid for sponsored posts and things like that. So I obviously knew what I was doing when it came to blogging, more or less. So I was doing these free sessions, and through that, I had different opportunities. I had some different clients that kind of came to me through that. And I really began to see that this whole giving advice thing, being a consultant, and specifically my knowledge on social media could be very valuable to me. At the same time, I was getting a tremendous amount of requests from people within my community to sell my printable planner inserts. So since I had joined the planner community, I had been creating my own inserts, as many of you guys probably already know. And by the summertime, when I wasn't really sure what was going on anymore with my business, like how I was gonna, open up new streams of income, I saw that there was this really big request from my community to do this, to give people and sell people the inserts. So what I ended up doing was, in the end of the summer, early fall, I did research, figured out how to put together a shop on my website. So I launched the Charm Shop on my website in the end of September, early October of 2014. And once I did that, a whole new stream of revenue was open to me. And that income grew and grew and grew until I had eventually replaced the income that was lost from my job by the end of the year. So within 6 months of leaving my job from, end of May, early June to early December, I had gone and replaced my income because the shop ended up supplementing even more revenue into my business. So the thing that I want you guys to kind of take away from that portion of my story is that, sometimes we start our businesses, and obviously in my case, this is what happened. We start our business and we think things are gonna work out. We have a plan for what we think we're gonna do, and it doesn't quite work out the way that we thought. So we have to kind of go back to the drawing board. We have to kind of, refuse to be let down and refuse to feel like a failure, because at that point, I could have felt like a failure. I had left my job under a certain set of circumstances and the way I thought my business would be, and it just didn't work out. So I chose to roll with the punches and to reevaluate what I was doing, and I went to my community and figured out the solution to that problem. So that's really what I want you guys to understand from that portion of the story, is that it's really important to kind of be resilient and not to give up, because you really need to roll with the punches. You really do need to think on your feet sometimes and find solutions when you have a big problem. I think that it's very true that the only way that you actually end up failing in life is by not trying. So I refused to give up. I did not go crawl in a hole and close my business down. I continued to persevere, and I figured out a way to make my business work. And it ended up working even better than I ever thought, because even after those 6 months, when 2015 started, tons of things started happening for my business that were really amazing. So that's kind of where I want to talk to you guys about now, is kind of like the last year and things that have happened. So in the last year, since my last video, lots of things have changed with my business. I've opened up even more sorts of streams of income by introducing new products to my shop that were things that I, again, looking back to the summer of 2014, while I was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do with my business, I realized that this whole, sharing information, giving people advice, and consulting people on business matters, especially digital marketing and social media and content creation, this was something I was legitimately good at, and it was legitimately a valuable skill. So in March of 2015, I launched Empire Building, which is my online business building program that teaches you guys all the ins and outs of digital marketing and how to build an online business and promote yourself and your business online using social media and using the internet. So after Empire Building launched, that kind of opened a whole new door and a whole new category of products for my shop. And ever since then, I've been slowly but surely adding more of these great info products to my shop. And every time I launch something new, it becomes almost like a new stream of income for my business. So in 2015, I launched Empire Building. I launched tons of new inserts to my shop, just like so many I can't even. I think it was like I was launching like a new productivity insert or printable every month. It was something new every month was coming out for the shop. And then in the summer, I launched my Charm Life Planner, which was something that had been, again, highly requested from my community. So I finally put together like a continuous planner system, which obviously was very well received as well. And I absolutely love that system. After that, I did my productivity and planning masterclass, and then my Charm DSLR, my digital styling Lightroom, which is a styled photography course for bloggers and business owners. I wrote an ebook, You Got This. And then at the beginning of 2016, just a few months ago, I launched my Charm Life Masterclass. Okay, so the big lesson that I want you guys to take away from, everything that I've learned in this last year of expanding my business and adding new product lines and just diving deeper into the work is that I think that it's really important that you just never give up and you keep evolving and thinking of your business in ever-changing ways. Remember, had I gotten down on myself and kind of given up back in the summer of 2014 when things just weren't working the way I thought they were going to, I would never have been able to not just replace my income, but even grow it even further. And I really think that with a lot of businesses, particularly online businesses, it's so easy to get into the trap of, I'm just gonna do this one thing, and really not look around and see how you can be innovating and really drawing upon not just your own strengths and your own knowledge and wisdom and things that you're good at, but it's also really important to draw upon your community and really understand them and what it is that they want and what they really need. Now, I don't think that you need to go out and give everyone in your community exactly what they ask for 100% of the time, but I do think that when it comes to running a business, your community is really important, and developing relationships with your community can really help guide you in ways that you really never understood. If I hadn't been so open with my community and, solicited for feedback and, invited people to email me or message me with things that I could potentially help them with, I may never have had things like empire building, and I may not have ever written, You Got This, my strategic goal planning workbook, and I may never have done the productivity and planning masterclass. Those things came out of ideas that I had from looking at people in my community who needed help, and then I realized I had a solution or a way to solve the problem that they had. And so I developed a product in order to fit that niche or help solve that problem and help make people's lives better. So you really never know what's going to happen with your business. The best laid plans, they say, of mice and men often go awry. And it's really important that you be someone who is able to think on their feet and be a little bit fearless. I have to be honest with you guys. Yes, I've been scared at certain moments in my business when I've been launching a new product, or maybe things, weren't going so well with a launch or with a piece of content that I worked really hard on. But it was really important for me to kind of suck it up and move forward and continue to put in my full effort day after day. So this video has now gotten very extremely long, but I think you guys have a lot of kind of maybe new insight about me and my business that hopefully will help you with your business. I would absolutely love to hear what you guys think. And if you guys have ever been in situations that maybe I'm in, if you're someone who's already a business owner, or if you're someone who's an aspiring entrepreneur that really resonates with, a portion of my story or the whole story, I would love to hear from you, because again, interacting with you is the reason that my business is doing so well. And I want to continue to serve you guys the best way I can. So I've got a lot of plans obviously coming up for the next couple of months and things like that. But I'm always willing and open to hear what you guys have to say and see what the problems are that are affecting each and every one of you, because that only makes me a stronger business owner and a stronger entrepreneur. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it through, you are a champ. Please, please, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or you learned some new insights from hearing my story that will hopefully help you in the future. Or if you just like listening to me ramble on about my business, please feel free to give this video a thumbs up. And of course, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until next time, you guys, bye-bye. Hey biz ladies! Looking for more resources, tips, and tricks to help you build your online business empire? Whether you're looking to earn extra income for your side hustle or go full-time with a sustainable creative business, I've got the tools to help. Sign up today for my free digital resource library, and I'll share my latest and greatest business building tools with you each month. Plus, you'll get access to my inner circle of amazing female entrepreneurs who are ready to take this journey with you. Visit bit.ly/charmedbizdrl to get started today.